Good afternoon. You are in time for the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. On sign language interpretation, we have Brian Muraru. Kenya is set to host the Africa Climate Summit next week. And this afternoon, we'll be talking environmental matters. On set is the director for ICRA South Africa program, already ready to share more insight on environmental concerns, not only in Kenya, but Africa. But before we get to that, let's first have a look at stories making headlines this afternoon. The Machakos County government will move swiftly to address succession disputes in order to curb increasing cases of suicide in the area, addressing residents of Kangundo West Ward during a public participation forum at the African Inland Church in Kawidhei. Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti said land disputes pitting family members as attributed to most reported suicide cases. According to Wavinya, succession-initiated policies will enhance peaceful coexistence among families. The governor also warned land-grabbing suspects in the region of stiffer penalties if found culpable.
Hapa Kangundo nimeambiwa kuna shida sana ya vijana kujiua, hata wasichana. Na ukiangalia hiyo shida, saa ingine ni maneno ya mashamba. Succession ikikataa kufanywa vizuri, watu wanaanza kuzozana, hata wengine wanajiua. Tumekubaliana sisi kama county government na national government tukae pamoja, tutume watu wetu wa lands wakuje waangalie, tuwasaidie familia maneno ya succession. Tukifanya succession, familia zitaweza kujipanga na zikae vizuri bila shida.
Village elders in Teso North constituency, Busia County, want the government to issue them with uniforms when carrying out their duties. Speaking in Kamolo, the elders argue the issuance of uniforms will ease their identification within the community. Busia woman representative Catherine Omanyo hailed the significant strides by the government in disbursing the village elders' monthly stipend, saying that the move will motivate village administrators in addressing security concerns and other social issues.
Nyesha, una raincoat. Tafadhali uniform ikuje na raincoat. Tumekuwa na shida. Wazee wengi wameongoza hata wamekufa na ni watu wanapitia changamoto kubwa.
Lazima tuone tofauti ya liguru na ule mwenye ameiba ng'ombe anakimbia. Juu liguru anaweza kuwa anafuata mwenye ameiba ng'ombe na mwenye ameiba ng'ombe anasema ni huyu ndio mwizi. Sasa wote lazima kukuwe na tofauti. Hiyo mswada ilipita, wabunge kadhaa pia wakafinyilia ratili na budget wakaeka. Sasa liguru anaanza kupata mshahara.
A section of youth in Nairobi County want full engagement in the formulation of county integrated development plans to oversight accountability mechanisms and facilitate the achievement of sustainable development. During the second Nairobi City County Youth Roundtable Dialogue held in partnership with the International Republican Institute, the youth lamented they are often sidelined in discussions of national issues despite the fact that they are key stakeholders. Nairobi County government officials and members of the County Assembly present reaffirmed their commitment to ensuring the inclusion of youth and other special groups in public participation.
The government needs to be a bit more serious in engaging with the youth and counting us as priority in terms of meaningful participation and active engagement.
Members of the IRA youth cohorts who are young people championing for youth development in Nairobi County and youth leaders from 17 constituencies across Nairobi.
We cannot set aside funds to support these young people if we do not have a framework for the same. So I must say the county is in the process of finalizing on that policy. It will be brought to the county assembly. The county assembly now we have an act for the county of Nairobi.
We are actually very much in place that we are advocating the youth inclusion
in all manners of activities and interventions. To start with, he started with a seed capital of 100 million, which once the legal framework is in place, we are going to actually start disbursement to the youth.
The Nairobi County government, in conjunction with various NGOs in the health sector, is setting up a camp at Mbagathi District Hospital to offer free eye surgery. Speaking during the signing of the partnership, Nairobi Chief County Thermologist Brenda Walaba said the exercise targets over 300,000 people who are visually impaired in the county. The NGOs also promised to have more programs targeting different impairments among locals.
Are here in Nairobi with our partners LPA and the Charity Vision in campaign of Hear and See, and we hope to continue to help the people of Kenya and then the rest of countries in Africa.
For this initiative, we have been having a target of 300 surgeries. The county has supported us in ensuring that this happens by one, providing the personnel and hosting the event, also participating in the screening of the patients.
We will continue discussing with our governmental and non-governmental partners to better understand the needs on the ground and position ourselves in areas where support is needed.
The Office of the Attorney General has promised to deal with hundreds of pending legal cases and legislative drafting within a year. Speaking in Naivasha, Solicitor General Shadrach Mose attributed slow service delivery to an acute shortage of state councils. According to Solicitor General, the crisis has been fueled by financial constraints due to low budgetary allocation in the state law office, despite a rise in demand for services in the government departments. Mose, however, said that the government intends to hire more state councils in addressing the shortage to dealing with more legislative issues. Mose made the remarks during the officiating of the signing of the 2023-2024 performance contracts for senior officers.
All these departments require various services. Like we require very many, state councils to deliver. So some of the departments are constrained. The state councils are not enough. So that once some go out to give advice to various institutions, MDAs, we also have enough who are addressing, issues in the office.
A couple in Nari village in Kibiricha, Meru County are at crossroads following the birth of triplets. Despite the joy brought about by the birth of the three boys, the couple can barely afford to fend for the extra mouths as they are already having three other children. The mother is currently jobless after she was forced to leave work owing to the pregnancy, while her husband is carrying out menial jobs that are not guaranteed. They are currently depending on well-wishers and neighbors to feed their children, a venture that is unsustainable. They are now appealing to well-wishers to assist them with basic commodities. The family can be reached on mobile number 0716 461137. The number once again is 0716 461137.
Mimi sikuwa nimefanyiwa scanning ndio nijue kama niko na watoto watatu. Na wakati nilibarikiwa na hao watatu nilimshukuru Mungu kwanza kwa kunipea watoto. Na kutoka huko wakati nilienda kubarikiwa na hao watoto nilikuwa wa CS. Kwa hivyo mimi sina nguvu yoyote, sina nguvu ya kulea watoto, sina pia uwezo, acha niseme hivyo. Mimi ni mtu wa kujitafutia, wa kibarua.
Mmoja kwa class 8, mwingine kwa grade 5, mwingine kwa PP2, na wote triplet ni Mungu amebariki naye. Nilikuwa na ng'ombe 2, niliuza yote na kuku nikauza yote ili nisaidia watoto. Hata siku pia hata last time ijalipwa na hii ijalipwa. Naomba Samaria wema wanisaidie ili niweze kulea watoto.
Watu wa area hii ya kijiji wamejaribu sana kuwasaidia watu wa Mboma hii, Ndiposa walikuwa wanawaletea kama ni nguo mzee, ile mtu alikuwa ameweka kando ya mtoto wake yule alikuwa akabeba akileta kwa hii mboma.
Mama yao si eti ako na maziwa ya kutosha ya kunyonyesha hao watoto watatu, wanatumia ile maziwa ya kununua inaitwa nani, and it is very costly. So tungeomba watu wa hisani na wale wengine tu, hata kama uko na pesa yako mahali, ukuje ufike hapa ni Kibiricha usaidie hii familia.
A section of recruits in Kemeloi, Nandi County have decried what they termed as lack of transparency in the ongoing Kenya Defence Forces recruitment exercise. The residents who held demonstrations in Kemeloi town poured out their frustrations even as they called on the relevant body to intervene and ensure the exercise is conducted in a free and fair manner.
With the Kenya Defence Forces nationwide recruitment exercise entering day 5, a section of Kenyans have faulted the exercise.
Watu walipata messages ya kwamba hii exercise ni free, hakuna kulipa pesa. Lakini vile wamesema ulikuja na nini na muko na nani, hiyo ni kuonyesha kwamba walikuwa wanataka pesa. Haki yetu! Haki yetu!
An incident where one recruit in Kemeloi, Nandi County was left out even after allegedly meeting all the necessary requirements has ignited the wrath of area residents who took to the streets to protest the incident.
Yani hakuna sauti ya wanyonge hawasikiki, ni pesa tu kila mahali. Hadi lini Wakenya wataishi kuhangaika hivi? Naomba tu serikali iingilie kati iweze kusaidia ambao wananyanyaswa hivi.
Sasa naomba serikali unisaidie kwa sababu mimi sina pesa na serikali ilisema ili kutumia ni free. Sasa naomba serikali anisaidie, waniandikie mtoto ndiye anisaidie kwa sababu nilikuwa nategemea mtoto anisaidie na watoto wengine.
So tukiwa watu wakemela maraba watu na hata bali pengine ambaye kazi haikufanyika vizuri, warudie hiyo kazi exercise hiyo ndali fight.
Yeye mwenyewe alipita kwa vitengo vyote, so ni lazima aende kwa sababu yeye ni mtu ambaye ni mnyonge. Mbona aitishwe kwamba lazima awe na mtu na lazima awe na kitu?
However, those in charge of the exercise have refuted claims of non-transparency. Meanwhile, residents of Mudhoni, Ward Mwingi, North Kitui County have decried exclusion from KDF recruitment exercise.
We youth, so you can't understand. So it's our request, our plea to the national government. Please, let's work on this. Mumoni sub-county hatujakuwa na recruitment yetu tafadhali.
According to the residents, the exercise was not conducted in a central place that is accessible by all.
Kitu ambacho kinatughadhabisha ama kinatukasirisha sisi watu wa Mumoni ni kwamba kutokea wakati huu, mbali na kwamba tulifanya juhudi, serikali na uongozi wa KDF au kuchukulia na kutilia maanani kubadili msimamo waliochukua kwamba watu wa Mumoni wataunganishwa pamoja na Thagisho.
They revealed that Mudhoni sub-county was not gazetted to conduct the exercise that initially took place at Kase Market. This forced them to go to Thagiso sub-county in Tharaka Ward for the exercise. Timothy Kipnoso for Lunchtime News.
The Coast Development Authority CDA has stepped up efforts to complete income-generating projects to be self-sustaining. CDA Board of Directors wants to complete the modernization of Wananchi Resort and Spa located in Bofa, Kilifi County. The conference facility with a capacity of 400 people is 100% complete, while the accommodation block of 43 rooms is 90% complete. The board also visited the Boji Integrated Fruit Processing Plant in Hola, Tana River County. The plant's goal is to provide market linkage, create employment, and generate income for fruit farmers.
Primarily was 2, and this also targets our accomplishment of our Kenya Kwanza agenda of agriculture, value addition, and food security. And in this case, we are supposed to support, to give adequate employment to the communities around here, and provide and stop any post-harvest loss for the farmers. Therefore, all the production that's coming here is emptied into this factory.
So this project has been initiated to help the local communities which are here from all the way from Malindi, Kilifi, and it supports the local community in Tana River, Hola, all the way to Garissa. So what we are saying is the major cash crop that we find along these areas is usually mangoes. So we wanted to do a facility so that we help the local communities who are farming on mangoes so that they don't incur losses when they're trying to sell their mangoes.
The negative effects of climate change are beginning to take a toll on residents in Meru County as water levels in River Kathita drop. The residents are also decrying an increase in pollution, which is posing a health hazard. Our reporter, Pauline Nasimiu, examines the environmental concerns by Meru residents ahead of the start of the Africa Climate Summit set for next week.
As thousands of delegates prepare to attend the Africa Climate Summit next week in Nairobi, residents of Meru County are a worried lot over the changing climatic conditions in the region. This is Kathita River, the only river relied on by residents in Meru municipality. As things stand, the water levels have dropped significantly, with some sections of the river drying up.
Kwa sasa kama unavyoona maji imeteremka sana, kiwango kubwa sana, imeweza kupungua, hata kuku yenyewe inaweza pitia kwa hizo mawe.
A situation residents claim is a result of the negative effects of climate change.
Sijui ni hali ya anga imeleta shida, tuelewi nini mbaya. Lakini saa hizi unapitilia Kathita kwa mau kiruka unapita.
Saa hadi kuku zenyewe zinavuka, mbuzi ndo hizi zinavuka. Imagine ilikuwa mingi sana.
Gladys Mushe, Meru Hospice Institution Administrator, says cancer patients who often rely on nutritious food from farming are at a crossroad owing to failed rains.
This affects the life of the patients because they get money from farming, and therefore even if they are diagnosed with cancer, they are not able to cater for cancer treatment.
The situation is replicated in Igembe North in Meru County. The once green gold, which is Mira, has turned brown as the crop is drying up.
Mira imekeuka. Tumepanda mahindi na marawa imekeuka.
Residents say planting crops like maize or beans is a challenge due to lack of adequate rainfall, forcing them to depend on relief foods. The residents are hopeful that the upcoming summit will provide tangible solutions to reverse the negative effects of climate change. Pauline Nasimiu for Lunchtime News.
And on that story by Pauline Nasimiu, we get into our interactive segment on environmental concerns. This as Kenya is set to host the Africa Climate Summit next week. On set, we have the director of ICRISAT Africa Program, Rebi Harawa, to give us more insight into environmental concerns as we set to host this event next week. Welcome on set. There has been a lot of concerns in regards to environmental matters, and we are happy as a country we are hosting this event this year. But then, before we get into that, what is ICRISAT and what role is it playing in this summit?
ICRISAT, we are the International Crops Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics. We have a commitment to transform agriculture, food systems, and livelihoods in arid and semi-arid areas, which in Kenya, if you look at the ASALs, it's actually 89% of the land. And as ICRISAT, we are committed to develop crop varieties that are adaptable to these dryland areas, more adaptable to climate change. We are talking of cereals like sorghum, millets, grain legumes like pigeon peas, groundnuts that are nutrient dense. We are very committed also to develop technologies that are preserving the water as well as the soils in these dryland agroecologies, most of which are actually degraded. We have another commitment of making sure that these technologies, when we develop with our partners, they actually reach the hands of the smallholder farmers. So we work around the research for taking these technologies through various studies, markets. We have our work that spans from Asia all the way here to Africa. And I'm glad to say that Kenya actually is the regional office for Africa, where we have our country locations in 9 countries. Of course, our headquarters is in India.
You've mentioned about dry lands and its effects on climate change. Are we doing enough? We have arid lands not only in Kenya, but in Africa. Are we doing enough as a continent?
I must say that something is taking place, but we are not doing enough. And I'm saying this looking at where we are today. If you talk about the issues of climate change, we are looking at it from where we need to have people that have enough food to eat. But today as a continent, we have nearly 300 million people who are going to bed on an empty stomach. We are talking of being in an environment where the population should be resilient when you face challenges of droughts, when you face challenges of floods. But today, when we face these challenges, we find ourselves almost going back to square one. And because of that, I'm saying that we need to do enough. I must applaud the countries in Africa that they are part of this commitment, where they've made this nationally determined contribution towards the pledges to actually meet the Paris Agreement, which I believe is part of the Africa Climate Week. But we need now to start going beyond the pledges. We need to move from there. And my emphasis is coming from ICRISAT, where we are actually working towards making people have sustainable food production, food that is nutritious, but also food that they can actually improve their livelihoods. And because of that, we really need to rally everyone to make sure that, yes, we need to grow the trees. We need to provide all the adaptation and mitigation of these climate measures. But most importantly, let's make sure that people have food. People are nutritiously fed.
Before we take a break, we'll be getting back to engage more. I just want you to tell me in a brief, scientists will be part of this summit. What are the key things you think they'll be discussing in improving environment issues in Kenya?
Science is very critical when it comes to the issues of climate change. As I said, that I think there are 2 core areas. We are talking about adaptation measures and mitigation measures. We need technologies that can be able to respond to this. I just mentioned about the crop varieties. We also need to make sure that we have enough knowledge that can be taken to the farmers. Today we need more people that can reach out to the smallholder farmers. Let's use the digital platforms. I believe that the knowledge that is being generated, we need at this climate summit to have people that will be able to commit what they are going to do in their various countries. We are looking at a number of areas that people have worked towards over the years, but most of them, I think, we have information that is archaic. We need to move to where we are. Today, I think we have these cyclic floods. We have cyclic droughts that are occurring almost every other year. The technologies we had 20 years ago are not going to do that. Science needs to be up to date with these kind of challenges. So I see this really as an opportunity, because we are going to have policymakers who are very critical. Technology is one thing, but we need enabling policy environment. I've seen that a lot of private sector are actually positioning themselves, even in this climate summit. We all need to work together towards bringing this climate mitigation, climate adaptation measures. As we said, we need to make sure that we do not have 300 million people going to bed on an empty stomach here in Africa.
You've just said that we need to ensure people have food on their table. And there is this issue of forest cover. I believe it's not only affecting Kenya, but each and every country in Africa is trying to improve its environment in fighting the climate change. What is your take in regards to the forest cover?
Forest cover is very important. because, as I said, when we talk about mitigation, we need to be sucking off this carbon, and trees, they do the good job. And I'm glad to hear that people are making these commitments to expand the forest cover. But again, as long as people are going to bed on an empty stomach, they are going to come back and cut the trees. And for Africa, the core is, let's have the nexus between agriculture and environment. Ministries of forests, ministries of agriculture, environment, we need to work together. We need to have the focus that is going to integrate policies for these different environments. When it comes to youth, which is 60% of the African population, we need to draw them in. How do we draw them in? We need to make sure that they see business. There are so many agribusiness opportunities that can be drawn even as we are fighting this climate change. A good example is in ICRISAT, where we have established business incubation for the different crops that we have. For example, millets. That you see the opportunity where these millets are taken to where you have value addition, where the youth actually can have a business. You can have cereals that are actually made from millets, becomes an opportunity for the youth. We talk about these crops that we need to have the seeds, seed businesses for these crops that are neglected for over time. But I'm glad today that even when we talk about these neglected crops like millets, there is now a momentum to take them to where now there is recognition. Even 2023 has been declared as the International Year of Millets. And we need to have these kind of efforts mainstreamed in these efforts to combat climate change effects.
As we come to the close, Rebi, the theme of this year's summit is under driving the green growth and climate finance solutions for Africa and the world. Do you think this will be able to address a number of challenges that mainly affects Africa before we get to the global perspective?
Absolutely. I actually like the headlines that are made in this Africa Climate Week. Very good headlines. But as I said, for me, we need to make sure that people walk the talk. We are scientists from ICRISAT. Research is part and parcel of what we do. We do delivery. We need to have the partnership across the board. The research institutions, the private sector, the communities, we need all to be together and make sure that we are walking the talk. Most of the commitments that have been made under the various COP, I'm afraid that they are too much on pledges. But pledge is just a pledge. Let's walk the talk.
Thank you, Rebi. Rebi Harawa, the director, ICRISAT Africa program, telling Africans to walk the talk as they intend to combat the effects of climate change. This as Kenya is set to host the Africa Climate Summit next week, and thousands of delegates will be in Nairobi. We are taking a breather. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
What's in your kitchen? A show that celebrates Kenyan and African dishes.
Be careful. Yes, because I've seen some fire jump there. That is called flambéing. Flambéing. So tukiona moto tujue ni flambéing. Crushed methi seeds. Kila siku soma kitu mpya. Mchele yetu iko sawa. Hii iko sawa. Tumalize sasa ni kwenda tukule. Napima.
Hii ni chakula mzuri sana.
Nzito kabisa.
Salivate this delicious meal on your screen while taking notes for the recipe. Don't miss What's in Your Kitchen on KBC.
Muulize maswali alafu akujibu.
Swali gani?
Akikujibu na nitakuchapa sana.
Bwana wewe iko chapa mimi, wewe iko bwana yangu, hata bwana yangu hapa niko shika mimi wewe.
Hii nayo utanyongwa. Hii ya wapi?
Nyonga ni nini?
Afisa wa polisi?
Nyonga ni nini?
Konyongwa.
Allah, mama, you got threatened me in live court over here. People you have seen witnesses, you got threatened me.
funga mdomo na sellotape wewe. Maana usiki.
So what is your problem you to bring me here?
Mimi alilete wewe hapa sababu wewe ni mhusika mkuu wa wizi ya meters.
Pipi yangu ni nani?
Sisi Sonita.
Uliambiwa wewe ni pipi yangu?
Wewe mwenyewe ndio ulisema kwamba Sonita ni bibi yako.
Mokana anje pamulanga.
Wewe. Lakini mama.
Kiswahili kitukuzwe. Mtoto wa kiume ndiye anapewa kipaumbele kwenda kufundishwa. Ama tuseme wazazi wakipata angalau pesa kidogo, watataka kumfunza mtoto wa kiume.
Kwa kuwa mtoto wa kiume anaonekana kuwa yeye mwenyewe anaweza na ana uwezo wa kutatua shida zake.
Unapata kuwa takwimu katika kutoka magereza zetu zinaonyesha kuwa waliofungwa pale wengi ni watoto wa kiume 25,700.
Nipenda kwa hiari, niwe wake wa ndoani, kafika kuniajiri.
Sanaa ya Kiswahili, pale ambapo tunapiga mbizi na makafi katika bahari ya kuelimishana, tusemezane, tuchangamshane na tupashane.
Kiswahili kitukuzwe.
Mimi ni Shamsa, mke wa Zito. Zito linaniambia kuwa hana mke, mimi sitaki kujua.
Kiza Jamal. Shamsa is my wife. Achana naye. Sawa.
Zito kufa kuzikana.
Zuri. Zuri.
The Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Transport, in collaboration with Africa Smart Solutions, have embarked on a mission to revolutionize the local transport landscape through sustainable and innovative solutions that advocate for clean energy by reducing carbon emissions to ensure a greener future. Join us this Friday, the 1st of September, at the Mamangina Waterfront, Mombasa County, for the national launch of e-Boda Boda. This event will be transmitted live on KBC Channel 1 from 4 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching the Lunchtime News. Time for business news. Investors at the Kengen Green Energy Park in Naivasha will benefit from direct electricity from Kengen at a cost of only 100 shillings per unit. Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir says the move is meant to woo more investors keen on green energy in the geothermal fields that has a potential of producing over 10,000 megawatts of geothermal energy.
In a bid to spur industrialization through sustainable and clean source of geothermal energy, the Kengen Green Energy Park, spanning 342 hectares along Karia, is now inviting investors to join in creating a greener future. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony of the geothermal-powered Eco Cloud Data Center, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi said, as a leading innovation hub for the region, the government will prioritize investment in technology with a focus on green data centers.
Data center industry is thus growing at a tremendous fast rate, with 85 data center operators in 54 African countries, a population of 1.3 billion. There is huge opportunity for data center business in Africa. The market has entered a phase of accelerated growth. Available supply is expected to double in the next 5 years.
Energy CS David Chirchir challenged investors to use incentives of cheap green power to invest at the park.
7 cents US is probably the most competitive cost of energy anywhere in the world today. The point is, we are not having the losses through transmission. It is 100% green.
It is imperative that we think of
secure storage of data. We have embarked on the process of enhancing the level of fiber connectivity in all parts of the country. 2, we are enhancing the level of digital literacy on one hand and also pursuing digital jobs for our youth.
The Kenyan Industrial Park will be constructed under a 4-phase development plan covering 2025 to 2045.
You can imagine the people who will be investing in this area, how they'll be enjoying, and the saving that they will do, especially, we know, when it comes to industries, the most expensive thing today, it is the power. So anybody now that is coming to invest here is all guaranteed of cutting costs.
The facility aims to harness the abundant geothermal resources in Olkaria, providing a sustainable and renewable energy source for industries within the park. Trevor Ngindo for Lunchtime News.
Kenya loses up to 20% of investments due to unpredictable tax policies. RSM Chair Ashif Kassam says this is killing investments, urging the government to create a predictable tax environment to spur investments in the country and boost intra-regional trade.
In April 2023, President William Ruto announced a series of tax and regulatory reforms aimed at improving Kenya's investment climate, including completing Kenya's national tax policy by June 2023 and keeping it in place for a minimum of 3 years.
We are very focused on our individual fiscal and monetary policies to fund our budgets. And the key challenge that we are not talking about is the fiscal indiscipline. And as long as we have fiscal indiscipline within each country, then individual taxes or countrywide taxes become key ways of funding that.
However, the policy is yet to be implemented 3 months after the June 30th timeline. As a result, Kenya is losing investors who are jittery over the unpredictable nature of the tax regime, according to tax and audit firm RSM.
It's only through fiscal consolidation and fiscal discipline that we will be able to rationalize the tax structures across the various countries. And that's one of the key things that we probably need to discuss over the next 2 days, is how to coordinate that approach.
Elsewhere, lack of a harmonized tax regime in the East African community is a major bottleneck to cross-border trade in the region.
It has to be a fair market, whereby every partner state has products and services not only to offer, but also to take. We must be in a win-win business and economic environment.
As government and private sector members converge in Uganda for the second edition of the EAC Business Summit, stakeholders hope that the Technical Working Committee will steer member states to streamlining policies to grow intra-regional trade and help the regional bloc bargain for better trade terms at the global level.
Every African nation should make every effort to reduce at the maximum non-tariff barriers at borders and within nations and regions to create a conducive environment for business people to trade across borders.
Regina Manyara reporting from Munyonyo, Uganda for KBC Channel 1.
Glad you're watching Channel 1. From business to sports, Team Kenya's road to Paris 2024 Olympics has been set in motion as the first team from the second batch representing Taekwondo departs for a 3-week training camp. The development follows a memorandum of understanding signed last year between the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and the city of Miramas.
Leading the Kenyan charges are two exceptional athletes, Julie Musangi, ranked 53rd globally, and Faith Ogalo, holding the 50th rank in the world. Over the next 3 weeks, the formidable athletes will engage in rigorous training at the international stage. Besides the training, Julie and Faith will participate in crucial ranking tournaments across Europe, including Poland and Paris.
The choice of France as the destination is a very good choice for us as a federation because there are very many ranking tournaments in Europe. Actually, after every 2 to 3 weeks, maximum 1 month, there's a ranking tournament in one of the countries in Europe. So within the 3 weeks, it is very possible for these players to have played 3 ranking tournaments in Europe.
Their participation in the tournaments aims to elevate their ranks and bring them closer to securing a coveted spot in the Paris 2024 Olympics.
So Faith going to Olympic was like, she opened the way for me. She came back and told me how it feels to be there. So every time I dream of being there, I feel it's a very great feeling to be part of the Olympic, and I'm really hoping that I can qualify and be just participating is already a step forward.
To Miramas, that is in France, is a great opportunity that NOC has given us. We are many in numbers, but a few have been chosen. I'm really grateful for that opportunity. I'll not take it for granted. The same way the Federation chose me in the training camp that was in Egypt in 2019. It really prepared me so well to go for All African Games.
Speaking during the send-off, NOC Secretary General Francis Mutuku said the partnership stands as a testament for their commitment in enhancing athlete training and preparation.
The objective of this training, which is happening for the first time, is to give our athletes the best opportunity to be able to focus on training. We have time and time again emphasized that our performance is what will always be a reflection of our training.
The first batch, which consisted of sprinters led by 100 meters Commonwealth champion Ferdinand Omanyala and junior athletes, trained in Miramas early this year.
Newly crowned world champion Winfred Mutile Yavi beat Kenyan duo Beatrice Chepkoech and Faith Cherotich to win the 3,000 meters steeplechase at the Zurich leg of the Diamond League. Meanwhile, world champion Shakari Richardson beat Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah to win the women's 100 meters.
Kenyan-born Winfred Mutile Yavi stunned the world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech in the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase and extended the heartbreak for Kenyan at the Diamond League meeting in Zurich, Switzerland. Yavi crossed the line in a time of 9 minutes 0.319 seconds ahead of world record holder Beatrice Chepkoech and world under-20 champion Faith Cherotich, who settled for second and third position respectively. Kenya's Jacqueline Chepkoech finished a distance 12th. Meanwhile, Shakari Richardson produced another flawless performance to win the women's 100 meters at Zurich Diamond League. The American clocked 10.88 seconds a week after setting a championship record of 10.65 seconds at the 2023 World Athletic Championship in Budapest, Hungary.
It's going to be close for second and third. No doubt about the winner, 10.88.
Shakari beat Jamaica's Natasha Marison, who finished second, while Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah finished third. In the men's 1500 meters, Kenya's Abel Kipsang finished third in a race won by US Yared Nuguse, while Josh Kerr finished second. Kingori Mwangi for Lunchtime News.
On that note, we've come to the end of the news updates at this hour. My name is Irene Mchuma Udem. On sign language interpretation, we have Brian Muraru. On behalf of the entire team behind this broadcast, thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. For more details on just aired items and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. Good afternoon. God bless you.